Round 20's gone. The finals are in the sight. The W's around the corner. Everything's happening. The sun was out today. I'm wrapped. And that means it's time to go out with a football, or as I like to call it, a pill. And it's time, for the 20th time this year-ish, to bounce that it. August 4th, the Footy with Broden Kelly. Welcome, folks, to a weekly AFL podcast hosted by me, Broden Kelly, from How to Stay Married, Season 3, directed and written by Peter Hellier. I'm so excited to be talking football with you this week. We have a very late out. You know, Tom, I'm back this week. Last week I was put out of commission because I was recording this podcast. I saw Wanganeen-Millera beat my team, and then I had the flu for a week. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and supported the team on Thursday, Marnes' show. That was great. I'm back in action. But as I've walked in, Tom was ill. He has gone down badly. And so I sent the man home. I said, I don't want you doing any work tonight except for editing this. So I'm going to bring you the hard drive later to edit. But apart from that, I just want you resting. So, Tom, our thoughts are with you. But I'm pretty wrapped because if I need a backup, I've got the best one prepared, ready to go. This person has joined us this year in the footy world. They are helping produce the show this year. They're doing a wonderful job. Last week, in the throes of that game, where Wanganeen-Millera took over and broke my heart into 3 pieces and then pissed in them, this guy commentated. And then that footage went on the internet on a website called reddit.com/r/AFL. People wanted to see me in pain, but something else happened. The community went, holy shit, who's this GOAT commentator? Who's this great... Who's this new Hutto? Who's this 24-year-old Hutto sitting here? Who's this guy with the timbre of Jeff Committee and the spirit of Bryce Cotton? Did you just call him Bryce McAvoy? Hey, I'm not finished introing you. And everyone said, that little boy is Paddy Grindelay. Yeah. And no, that is not a character from a Dickens, a poor street boy from a Dickens novel. Paddy Grindelboy. That is the person filling in this week for Tom. Paddy, welcome.
Thank you, Broden. I love Jeff Committee.
Yeah, Jeff Committee and Bryce Cotton. Well, I wanted to do Bryce McAvaney. Now, listen,
that's close enough.
You think it's the same sitting there to over there?
No, it's very scary.
Yes, you should be scared.
I'm really scary.
Because you're sitting across from one of the greats of comedy here, me, Broden Kelly.
In your pink shorts.
Yes, I'm wearing my basketball shorts. First strike, don't do that again.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Here's the important things to know, Paddy, is I'm the funny man, okay? So what's going to be coming at you is I'm going to have lots of great jokes. They're going to be coming your way thick and fast. Now, Tom often misses these. So I'll say something that's generational, and he'll go, yeah. But the thing about the Suns is, now I need you to be listening for them and going, that's really funny. Also, the second thing you need to know is I'm going to say things like, bounce that sting. And now you just have to, I'm going to say that to you. You don't have to do anything because Tom will edit that later. But any other questions you have for me?
Who's Jif Committee?
Jif is a wonderful cleaning product for your kitchen. It comes in many different brands. Now with a spray.
You're in that.
I love Jif. Now, Jeff Committee, what's his real name?
Dennis
Committee. Dennis Committee was a great commentator. And now I think he's just hanging around in Perth having a good time.
Yeah, I think so.
He's doing what Perth people do best, and that's be old, white, and retired. Now,
I think he has a son who wrote a song that appeared in an AFL computer game.
Yeah, and he commentates for Triple M, doesn't he?
I don't know, but I'll have to look.
Pretty sure he commentated them. I definitely listened to the 2021 Melbourne Grand Final, commentated by him, because he sounds pretty like him. Now, it's time for Around the Grounds, Paddy. I'm going to call you Tom at some point.
That's apologize. Fine. I'm used to
Have you heard who the very short odds now are for the grand final performance? It's pretty much announced, but it hasn't officially been announced.
I've been hearing reports about Snoop Dogg, yes.
Yes, it is apparently Snoop Dogg. What do you think of that?
I don't like it at all, because I think a daytime performance for Snoop Dogg will look pretty washed out. And I am one of those people who thinks that we should be promoting Australian artists.
Dear audiences, see, here's the problem. This young guy, this whippersnipper has come in here at 24. He wants to hear Thirsty Merc. He wants to hear Helen Garner. This guy, he doesn't get it. But the older people out there know that the dog is the shiznit. So do you know that? He used to say the shiznit. And he would say, instead of for sure, my dude, he would say, for shizzle, my dizzle. Do you understand?
Yeah, I get the idea.
So he's very cool. Okay. And I thought, to celebrate, this week's Round the Ground is Snoop Dogg themed. And what a round of footy it was. Hell yeah. Broden Kelly in Brunswick. Come on. The Footy Pod. Yeah, that's good, Paddy. All right, check it. Broden Kelly. Giants got pumped. Dogs are good at sport. Ginnivan got bullied at the airport. Adelaide Crows, end of game singers. Ginnivan gave fans the finger and the Melbourne Demons went to plan. Beat the Eagles in front of 5 fans. Suns beat Tigers, as you'd think. Suns should only wear that pink. And Sydney Essendon SCG pad. Margin close enough to make both teams sad. Lions for the flag is a very fair bet. Collingwood, Houston, buyers regret. Saints look good, they look fine. They just need one bloke to sign. Almost lost to North, almost a steal. Saints no longer play Jack Steele and Geelong murdered power at GMHBA. I'm surprised, did nobody say. I tipped Dockers, however instead. They look like they're gonna shit the bed. That's around the grounds, don't you see? I'm the man, Mr. Broden J. Kelly. I'll shoot you in the head. How do you do? Wangu Nimalu gave me the flu. I'm not happy with that. When I practiced at home, I was much better.
I thought it was great.
I was very panicked.
I think your rhythm was really strong.
But this is a bop, isn't it?
It is a bop. You can just slowly fade that down, I think. That's good.
And I can follow it up with a sting. Give me that sting, Tom.
The Saints at the Adelaide Oval!
Listen, I usually start with your match of the round, but we will get to that. Actually, let's start with that. What is your match of the round, Patrick?
I think Brisbane beating Collingwood at the MCG is enormous.
That was mammoth.
Yeah.
I was there.
How was it?
So I had the best Saturday night of my life. Not in life. You know.
Top 3? Top 5?
Yeah, actually, yes. I got invited to the Super Netball Grand Final. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
15,000. And it's the loudest thing I've ever been to in my life. And it was an incredible game. It was decided by 1 point. That was awesome. Have you ever been to a netball game?
I've never been. The closest I've got is social netball on a Monday night and Georgia Radnick's commentary.
Yes, and she's great. She was commentating there too.
Awesome.
Firstly, the vibe's immaculate. Everyone positive and lovely, but also ferocious and angry and freaked out. And I was near Beck Judd. I was like 3 seats from Beck Judd.
How did that happen? Did you say hello?
Did
she say hello?
She touched me. She touched my shoulder.
Okay.
But it was like, excuse me, can I get by? But I was like, wow, Beck Judd knows who I am. But that's when you say, is that normal? Well, yeah, I'm in that world now. I'm in the Beck Judd world. But that is all to say, I went to this game, it was mind-blowingly good. And then, as you know, Melbourne has a precinct, Paddy, where all the great sport happens. I walked over and saw the second half of this game. It was incredible. Tell me what you liked about it.
Well, I think at the start of the year, I thought Brisbane would struggle immensely up forward without Joe Danaher.
Everyone said that. I said that.
And then when Tom
said that,
the man who likes planes, hurt his knee, and they've lost their premiership centre-half forward and their premiership centre-half back, and other teams have gotten better around them. And then this boy called Logan Morris. Are you aware of Logan Morris?
Yeah, I know him because he is from Melbourne, and Melbourne offered him a lot of money mid this year, and then he signed.
I remember when he made his debut, and he'd previously played on that day a full game of VFL, and then he'd destroyed like a full McDonald's feed afterwards. And everyone was like, this is going to be the greatest player of all time. And he kicked 6 goals, career high 6 goals.
When was he drafted? What position?
I believe he's a second-year player.
By position, I mean what number?
Oh, sorry. I think he was a pretty late pick. I want to say somewhere in the 40s, but let me
No, that's unacceptable if that's true. That is unacceptable because he is going to be Like he's 12 years.
30s. 2023 national draft, pick 31.
What year?
The draft?
Yeah.
He was picked up in the 2023 national draft, so he's in his second year as a key forward.
That's so upsetting.
Yep.
That's so upsetting because he's going to be like the pick of that draft. I know that is a super draft. Who else is in that draft?
The 2023 draft, mental blank. That's the Harley Reid draft. So that's your that's your Colby McKerches,
your Dan Curtins,
and your Zane Dersmers.
Yeah, and your Caleb Windsors.
Yes.
Yeah, they were outstanding. When I was watching this game, I've watched a lot of Collingwood games. You know why? Because I have Channel 7. And I watched this, even though this was on Fox. I watched this game, and anytime there was a chance that Collingwood were going to do their run, you can hear the crowd. Once they start doing their quick handball, there's quick, it's magical, it's happening. They got tackled. And the other thing, Lions don't look scared anymore. For years, Brisbane people tell me if this feels true, but as they were growing in the early 2020s, they often looked scared, I would say. Even at the even in the grand final of 23, I think they looked, even though they looked outstanding, they looked a little bit scared. And now when I see them, it's like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone when he walks out of his house. He's like, I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be? They've obviously never beaten Collingwood at the MCG, but why would you care? You won a grand final here. And that's what it looked like to me.
I think I read a really interesting piece during the week. Are you aware of This Week in Football? It's this great sort of like, it's by a bunch of really clever football people on the internet. And a man called Joe Cordy wrote this article about how Collingwood used to win all the close ones and then the advantage has gone away because other teams have essentially started emulating their style. They've caught up on them.
Really?
And it feels like that happened. Like I was sitting there, I was watching with a friend at the London Tavern and I was saying like Collingwood will run over the top here. It's what they do.
Yeah.
They play possum for a little while. They go bang, they'll kick 3 goals. They're back in the contest and they'll probably win the close one. And Brisbane said, no, thank you.
So yeah, that's... They when they lose, it's usually that's a big margin for Collingwood, that loss, like 20 points. And to
get moved away late and to be completely out of the game where they like to involve their wizard magic. But Logan Morris, like I truly think for Collingwood that when Nathan Murphy went down with that concussion, so he played his last game in the 2023 grand final, and I don't think they've replaced him.
Really?
Like they're trying to play
true.
Charlie Dean, and he's doing a reasonable job, but that's why they want Jack Silvani so much because they genuinely need another person who can go in and allow Darcy Moore to freelance a bit.
I was watching, and you would have thought that, I mean, not in that exact role, but Dan Houston, I think they thought was going to be the shit, but he's not working out for them. The data I'm going by for that is Marmalade interviewing 12-year-olds out the front of the MCG after the game. A lot of them were saying, what's wrong with Dan Houston?
It's the best peer-reviewed content in the country. But
that's the level I'm at, yes.
I think Lockie Schultz took a while to fit into their forward line system because he was asked to play a pressure forward role that he wasn't particularly familiar with. And it took him probably till the back end of his first year. I think the same thing's happening with Houston, to be frank. I think he'll be okay in the fullness of time. It's just not quite worked for him this year. The
other moment that I thought was incredible is in the last quarter, Pies were making their run. I think Bobby Hill had just kicked his goal.
Yep.
And the kick inside on rebound, Brisbane kick in. There's a free kick to, I think, Logan Morris or someone. I forget who. I don't know.
I think so, yeah. Yep.
And then Rayner just plays on and snaps it from the pocket like an impossible shot.
Yeah.
And it went through. And if he missed that, that's like turning point moment. But he just kicked this incredible, selfish, ridiculous goal. And it was like, okay, well then the aura's gone. This is, are you scared if you're the Pies? I heard David King say at 11:30 at night last night, he said, they won't say it publicly. They won't say it publicly. But they're rattled. They're rattled. Craig McRae, he'll be sitting there saying, all right, we're in trouble. Guys, we've got issues.
Can I just say, I've heard your Kingy impersonation a lot this year.
Yeah.
That's the best it sounded. You've worked on that.
I'm Kingy. And you got to sit down and say, look, at the end of the day, we've got to change it up. Houston, he's not working. By God, man. What are you doing? 38 inside 50s. But yeah, so Brisbane should feel incredible. Do you think they will win the flag?
Brisbane?
Yeah.
I still think, pre-season I thought I went boring and said Collingwood Geelong for a grand final. Mm-hmm. And I think that I still feel that way. But a lot of my reasoning for not liking Brisbane as a premiership threat was, well, not as a premiership threat, but as the team that would win the premiership was because of Danaher and Payne going out. And Morris is very, very good. Yeah. And Darcy Gardner's playing well down back.
Yeah.
And Darcy Wilmot and all those guys are improving around him. So, I don't know. But, I think Collingwood just need to... Like, if they can just make it through in the top 4, I think they'll be okay. It's more about whether they drop another one next week against the Hawks.
Ask me my match of the round.
Broden Kelly, what was your match of the round?
Well, it has to be Friday night at Adelaide Oval, the home of football. The Hawthorn Hawks taking on the Adelaide Crows, which I think, if I'm pressed, was like one of the games of the year. Hawks came out and went punch, 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 face, face, face. And then the Crows went, no, this is where we play. This is our home ground. We're fantastic. This is what we do here. And held them off. And in that it could have gone still either way. It was devastating for Will Day. Like, coming out of the game, I would have walked out going, Hawthorn, you have nothing to worry about here because the Crows are the top of the ladder team now. They have not lost a game since 1997, it looks like. But you've still got, but the Will Day thing is actually really, really bad.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think they really missed him in that Port Adelaide final last year where he was out with that collarbone injury, and he adds so much pace to them.
He's their best player when they're there.
Yeah, and I still think even with him, I reckon they're probably still one midfielder short with him in the team.
Well, they're one forward short, but his name's Nick Watson.
Yes,
he's one
exactly.
forward short.
What did you think of Jack Ginnivan? And
I love this.
Flipping the bird.
So I want to talk about this, right? So he gave the finger to Adelaide people, which I'm all for. I'm all for, as a South Australian, sometimes.
When it suits.
I'm like, yeah, give them the finger. They gotta learn. But here's the other thing, right? Is if you're 24,
yes,
you haven't,
which I am.
You haven't really seen Adelaide great. You've seen them get to a grand final, but you've never seen strong durations of Adelaide Crows being a good team. You've seen this downtrodden team. You might remember them at Football Park before going to Adelaide Oval. You think of them as a middling team, right? Fair?
Fair.
They won 2 back-to-back flags in 1997 and 1998. I lived there at the time. I was a young lad. The reason I'm such an asshole now and why I have no hair and why I'm bad to be around and why I stink is because I lived in Adelaide at that period. If we see Adelaide become a dynasty team, you're going to see some of the most petulant, low, disgusting people rise and be around. This journalist door-stopping Ginnivan at the airport is just the tip of the iceberg of what Adelaide is going to have to offer. Port Adelaide fans know who they are. They're the ferals. They're the scummers. Adelaide are worse. And Adelaide people listening know this. You know this, Adelaide people, because you go to the games. There's obviously a large proportion of Adelaide fans who are nice, lovely, good people. Marnie's dad, lovely guy. But there is another large contingent of petulant, boring, iced coffee drinking fucks. And you're going to see, like, I can't, if you have digital radio or if you have, an app, listen to 5AA this week, which is their equivalent of 3AW or, their talkback. They're going to be saying shit like, there'll be people calling into 5AA this week saying, do you think we'll win 3 in a row? They scream Vic Bias at the game. They're gonna do their nut, and that journalist asking him, door stopping him at the airport, saying, are you a sore loser? As he's leaving, miking a guy as he's leaving the state. Just the beginning.
It was, it was pretty grim. Initially, I understand the airport doorstop because if Jack says something that's newsworthy, I suppose that's your job. But it was more he's like, I'm not talking to you, and she's like, haven't you just? And I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, she's like, it was just full high school shit.
Yeah.
But are you a sore loser?
I got upset about it and I put it on Twitter, and most of the comments are kind of like, oh, this is gross, this is gross, this is gross. And then there's a few comments probably from Adelaide people going, cry more.
Yes,
cry more, Jack.
They're coming. That's all I'll say, right? Is they're going to put Collingwood fans to shame. They're going to put Carlton fans to shame. West Coast, we've been through West Coast winning flags in the last 7-ish years. They were okay. They were bad, They were bad, but nothing compared to what you're about to get.
I like
I'm so excited for it, can I say as well?
I looked up 5AA as you were talking about them, and the first video that came up says Rochelle for Naz.
What's that mean?
That means that the Adelaide media wants to trade in Nazai Wanganeen-Miller to the Adelaide Crows for Josh Rochelle.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's See, and if we can't, I think because it's the VFL, right?
Of course, sorry.
We need to.
No, I was mean to West Coast supporters on Wednesday.
I think we should block. I think block that. Even if the deal just goes ahead, we go, no, we don't want that because we just can't.
To the Lakers stuff.
No. They are two fantastic games, but Adelaide just look so good. They look like they have arrived. They've not lost a game. They haven't won easy much this year, and that is huge because years where you just win easy is bad. You want pressure as the games. You want a few that you should have won, like the Suns game, and then you want some where you destroy them, like the Suns game. But you want these games that you feel the pressure for 4 quarters, but you do get it done.
Yeah,
obviously, it makes sense to go Geelong, Collingwood, Brisbane, and the teams who probably will win it because they've been there more. But there's something to be said about Crows just flying in with momentum and other teams not having the time to really go to work on them. That I think they could genuinely do it.
I like it. It's sort of one up, one down for their run home. So they played the Suns, which was a tough game, and they spacked them by 10 goals. Then they get a week off essentially against Port Adelaide. Then a tough one against Hawthorn, and they get West Coast next week. Then they get Collingwood at home on a Saturday night, and then they finish the year with North Melbourne. So they keep sort of sharpening the tools a bit. I love Dan Curtin so much. I think he plays like Nathan Fyfe.
Yeah. He big tall boy, big powerful. Have you seen this? He's got that chest.
Yeah.
He's got that sharp V chest.
Yeah.
That I wish I had. Doesn't matter how many Michael Voss bench presses I do, I can't get that tight chest like Dan Curtin. Hey, do you know, I've made a list of 5 things that are washed.
Go.
Number 1, grapes. 2, dishes. 3, Collingwood Football Club. 4, cars. And 5 is clothes.
Great.
And I've got a list of 5 things. I'm moving on.
Okay.
And 5 things that are cooked. Chicken. You cook chicken. Beef. Collingwood Football Club. Captain Cook. I believe he was cooked eventually. And at 5, stoners. Give me a sting, Tom.
The man that likes planes, Jack Payne.
Tom, what's your name? Paddy. That
didn't take long.
I did my ladder predictor.
Okay. Do you want me to do mine quickly for content?
No, you can't. It takes too long.
Okay.
I have to sit there and you just go by mine and tell me what you think, all right? I did nothing crazy. And I tipped Collingwood when I think they'll win. I tipped Adelaide when I think I didn't do any, well, maybe if I just went really straight bat. I went very Matthew Hayden, straight bat.
Yep.
He played
cricket, yes.
Cricket.
Good.
At number 8, actually at number 9, Hawthorn Football Club. Commiseration. But I will say they are out on percentage only. But the percentage is pretty brutal compared to the Western Bulldogs who I have at 8. Western Bulldogs just make it. Because of that performance against the Giants, which we'll get to later. Actually, let's go about that. 7, Fremantle. I have Fremantle in. At 6, the GWS Giants. At 5, the Gold Coast Suns. Just out of the 8.
Okay.
Just out of the 4, sorry. But they're going to make that. I think, as we sit here now, they are playing their first finals this year. Congratulations, Suns.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the game in hand. As things stand right now, and we are watching Fremantle currently try and make a comeback over Carlton.
Which they're going to do.
They are level on percentage with Hawthorn, the Giants, and Fremantle with a game in hand, and they have the best percentage of those teams. So
yeah.
I think they're in. I think they're watching very closely to see if something happens to Geelong or Brisbane or Collingwood. But yeah, I think they're playing finals.
At number 4, and I was being very fair. I promise you I was being fair.
I know what you're saying.
4, Collingwood Football Club. Collingwood Football Club at 4.
Interesting.
Because I think the only one they drop from here, if possible, is the Crows game at home.
Yep.
At Crows at home, I think they lose. On current form at the very least. They've lost 3 from 4, man. At 3, Geelong Football Club,
Okay.
who are just quietly going to finish third with no issues.
Well, they finished third last year and they beat Port Adelaide by 450 points in the first week of the finals last year. So that suits them fine.
Really makes you think. At 2, Brisbane Lions.
Yep.
And at number 1, clear by 2 points in my, with the highest percentage, Adelaide Crows, who are going to finish top of the ladder. In this reckoning, we only have 1, 2, 3 Victorian teams in the finals, which makes 5, count them, 5 interstate teams. Fantastic, man. 2 Queensland ones, 1 Sydney one, 1 Perth one.
Great.
And an Adelaide one. So that's what do you think of that?
Well, I think that Adelaide-Collingwood game is massive because for $1, when was the last time that Adelaide beat the Collingwood Football Club?
The last time Adelaide beat the Collingwood football, like in 2017 or something?
2016.
Yeah.
These are their last 5 results. 10-point loss at the G,
close.
4-point loss at the G, 2-point loss at the G, 1-point loss at the Adelaide Oval, 5-point loss at the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So the way I think about it is that so much of being good in finals is about killing the bogeyman underneath the bed. And I think back to the 2017
I'm not afraid anymore.
Not afraid anymore, where Richmond played Geelong and the Tigers hadn't beaten the Cats since 2006, I reckon, at that point.
Yeah.
And Geelong a few weeks ago had smacked them at Cardinia Park, where Richmond had come into the game thinking, young upstarts, we're not afraid of you anymore. And Harry Taylor kicked 5 on Alex Rance and everyone was very sad about it.
Yeah.
And then Geelong ran onto the MCG to play the qualifying final, and every Richmond supporter in the venue, and there were 70,000 of them, and it was a Geelong home game, booed them from the first moment they stepped onto the field until they left it.
Yeah.
They stopped singing the song to boo Geelong off the ground.
Wow.
So much about being good in finals is killing the boogeyman, and
Yeah, it
Adelaide
really
a
is.
chance with Collingwood at home. And there's going to be 52,000 people at that ground. And
Yeah.
it's going to be like the best television cutaway to the crowd ever.
If I didn't cover it enough, they're going to be petulant as.
Yeah.
They're going to be unbearable. But yes, that's my ladder. I'm keen to hear yours maybe next week, but I feel like we're closing it on a pretty locked one.
Yeah, I have Hawthorn out too. So it's that game against Collingwood.
You've done your ladder.
Off the top of my head, I think if Hawthorn lose to Collingwood, I don't think they make it.
Hawthorn,
or they have to hope that someone else drops a game.
Yeah, Hawthorn must win against the Pies. That is a great game next week. Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
Okay, that brings me to another point. Give me that sting, Paddy / Tom, but really Tom.
Show me the fucking fight!
The Lions Collingwood was a game of the year, fantastic, right? It was on KO.
Yes.
And I know I've already gone off it this year, but it is wrong. It is just wrong. It is with Australia, the Australian people have been robbed of something that belonged to them. And you have to, how much does KO cost?
At the moment, I think for the subscription that I've got, which I think is a 2-screener, it's $40 a month.
Okay. And the lowest is 20 maybe?
I think 25, I want to say.
So
off the top of my head.
I just think of nanas and shit. Like an old nana who, whose partner's passed away and they can't afford it or they don't know how to use it. I think of them. I think of kids whose parents don't like footy, but they like footy and they just but their parents aren't going to buy KO. I think of the myriad of people who would have loved to see this game, but aren't in the position financially, family-wise, structurally, to be able to watch this game. It is a genuine, there's many things in the world to get mad about, but I am truly quite upset about this. And I really feel like Andrew Dillon and the AFL board have robbed Australia of this, and it really upsets me.
Yeah, I think for when I was growing up, Saturday night football was probably the precipice of my weekend.
Yeah, it really is.
And when I think about it, the occasional Thursday night game that springs to mind, I would go to bed early because I had school the next day. The Friday night games because they were on quite late. I'd been at school that day, so I was tired, and I usually got sent to bed halfway through. But Saturday night, it had this sort of elevated importance. And I understand that things change, and that became Friday, and then television networks would try and have you believe that that's becoming Thursday. But I just thought that I watched the Giants-Bulldogs game, and no disrespect to either of those clubs, at a half-empty Marvel Stadium where the game was over by quarter time. Again, that can't be helped because on paper that looked like a good game of footy. And then you see 82,000, 83,000 people at the MCG for Brisbane Collingwood, which is the grand final rematch of 2 years ago. Two clubs that have been up and amongst it for the last couple of years that are so strongly supported, both in Victoria where the game's taking place, but also nationally. And then the Adelaide Collingwood game that we're talking about, it's in a few weeks' time. I mean, for $1, what night of the weekend is that on?
Adelaide Collingwood is going to be Saturday night, is it?
Saturday night game.
So behind a paywall.
Correct.
And I think it's a deliberate thing. Like, they're acting like, we're kind of surprised that Essendon is always in prime time and always on free to air, and everyone's a bit annoyed at that, right? Do you think... I think there's something to DAZN, who own KO, going, put Collingwood behind a paywall. And Collingwood have the biggest fan base in Victoria, at the very least, probably Australia for most engaged watching audience. They would go... And a large proportion of their fan base are people who maybe can't afford that.
Yeah.
And...
Okay.
Like, just speak generally, I think the bigger the fan base, the more people who who follow big teams, and they're getting cut out of it, and I think that's a deliberate thing, and I think it's really shitty.
Yeah, I mean, I speak to a lot of people about football, which would surprise no one who listens to this podcast, and there are people who, quite simply, are football fanatics who have actually not paid for KO this year, who watch things just through Channel 7 because it is unaffordable, and also because the KO stream is slightly delayed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen live. There's a latency problem. So the product they feel like they're getting isn't that great. And then they look at the rest of the products that are available, and they might not be F1 fans or fans of international cricket.
The other thing is, as someone who went to the netball grand final on Saturday night, I can't believe, I'm completely ignorant to how much that... I mean, I knew, but it really means a lot to so many people. And when you talk about... when you talk about Matildas and you talk about the Super Netball... How much fandom in Australia is supporting of these women's sports? Yeah. I think two things is that neither Collingwood, Brisbane, or the VIXENS Fever was on free to air. They were both on KO. Is just wrong.
Yeah.
But then I think of it another way. If you're the NRL, or if you're Super Netball, or if you're A-League, or if you're the NBL, or you're the WNBL, get off KO and put yourself primetime Saturday night and fuck the AFL. Crush them. If you're the NRL, this is your best play. Put yourself primetime on a Saturday night and you will very slowly migrate fans over. Yep. It might not be core, diehard Collingwood and Lions fans, but for the pensioner who's sitting at home who can't afford it, that's what you're going to, make them pay. Make them pay.
I think one thing that I've really enjoyed about it, which is, it's a very vague silver lining, but is the fact that there's a VFL game that's televised. Because I'm a footy freak, so I watch footy if it's on.
Yeah.
So I've watched that much Frankston football over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I can tell you all about Tommy Myers.
Jason Bennett calling it, yeah.
Bennett and Nige Carmody. So I suppose that's a benefit because, we're advertising other parts of the sport. But, for so many people, I think it's just a switch off point.
Yeah. It really pisses me off.
I couldn't tell.
Give me a sting, whoever. Some other games to get through. So, Suns just did what they needed to do against the Tigers. I like that Mac Andrew kicked a goal from 60 metres. I like the Tigers had a bit of fight but couldn't kick a goal. I like the pink Guernsey. That's the main thing I take away from this game. If you were running the Gold Coast Suns, would you get rid of the red entirely? Because I would. Or I would make it the clash. I would invert it.
I'd get rid of the blue. Least. They do have a blue.
Hey, you and me, let's agree.
Yep.
Blue gone.
Blue gone. I don't mind. I actually really like some of the mock-ups where, with the new logo, where it's not transparent red and it's actually yellow. And it actually looks, I'm like, okay, that's a reasonable looking footy jumper.
Okay,
if it's yellow on red.
Yeah. I can see,
That pink jumper is... at the moment I'm watching Fremantle run around in their white anchor on purple and I love it. I think that pink jumper that the Suns have is probably 2 or 3 things away from being my just about favourite jumper in footy.
It's ballsy as.
It's so cool.
It's so good.
Yep.
It's the best. It makes you think Gold Coast.
Yep.
It really does. I think if they were gutsy, that was probably the first pitch before the red one. This year, the New Guernsey. I reckon there was a world where this is it. But they were a bit scared.
Yeah, I really don't understand why clubs don't get more creative with jumpers like that. I understand that maybe the Suns feel that there's less pressure. The Giants did it with their blackout orange jumper, which is another beauty, the orange outline that's on an all-black background is beautiful to look at. But, I think even, with Richmond and it's been the same design, and I wish that just once a year, that there was some sort of creative license taken and like there was a claw stripe or Collingwood actually did do a retro jumper and brought back the swooping magpie or something like that. Because I love that footy jumper and I think...
What's the worst that happens?
People go, I don't like that very much.
An 18-year-old on 7AFL's Instagram page says he doesn't like it. So that's going to happen either way.
Yep.
So just do it.
Yep.
It's going to sell. I know so many young cool people wearing the pink Guernsey. Like my friend Tom, he wears one around. He has his cool pink jumper. Pink's in, man.
Pink is so in.
Pink is in.
Yeah. I was at Sandringham today doing some footy and they were selling some player issue jumpers. Like
pink?
The Sandy / St Kilda. The alignment's about to finish up, so they're about to split
Are they
up.
on discount?
So they were selling these yellow and blue and black and red and white jumpers, which were all over the place. But I thought, some designers clearly had a look at this and try to do something creative, and I wish we had more of it with the so-called traditional clubs.
I have nothing else to say about this game, though.
The Gold Coast Richmond game. There's nothing in this. I'm just really happy that Jonty Full didn't do his ACL. He hurt his knee and another injury. He won't play again this year. But
he plays for Richmond, yeah?
He does, yep. Harry Armstrong came back and looked pretty good. I think Taj Hotton's going to be my favourite player for the next 10 years.
Yep.
I think he likes the number 24, but I just want to put him in a number 10 because he is actually just Shane Edwards. But he's so little at the moment. But they put him in for some centre bounce attendances. And it was like it was the Ratatouille scene. Right, like it was like being fed something you hadn't seen for 5 years.
I thought you meant one of the players was controlling one of the other players, pulling his hair.
Well, I mean, Andrew Brayshaw was wearing a helmet the other week.
That's
Who's
right.
To say?
It could have been a vermin.
Yeah, and that was it. Gold Coast just win. Jai Farah's good. I don't know. Jai Farah, sorry.
Yeah, Farah's good. He's
fun.
very good.
He's just Jacob Townsend from 2017 again. Damien Hardwick's playing all the hits.
Hell yeah. Another boring game that I went to on Saturday afternoon was DEES Eagles. It's not said enough how uninhabitable Marvel Stadium is. It is so cold. It is I don't understand scientifically how it can get that cold. It's the coldest place I've ever been. And I've been to Boston in February, and that's when it's cold there.
I remember...
I've been to Denmark in winter, in the dead of winter. I've been to, as a Melbourne fan, the snow. It's so cold. I had to leave. I left at 3/4 time when my team was up by 60 points. Because...
Was that because the hot dog gave you indigestion? Because that was it didn't look great.
No.
With respect.
With respect, I take that. But also with respect, it was fine. And I ate it and it was delicious. But with more respect, I went home and I got an Uber home and I watched the second half of the last quarter on my couch with a rug over my leg because I was so cold. It was so fucking cold.
It is really cold. It's it's a basement footy ground.
It's free. I know people go there every week, but I just couldn't believe how cold it was. It's so cold. That's what I have to say about this game. But also for the DEES, Jai Cully, who played for West Coast for 12 games and did an ACL and couldn't get back in the side, comes back in his first game against West Coast and kicks 2 goals. I didn't realise how tall he was a pre-season.
Yeah, mid-season pick. Initially mid-season, then pre-season for DEES, yep.
He's 196 centimetres and they're playing him on the wing. If he is good, I'm blown away. He's great.
The mark he took.
Yeah, he's big, man.
Yeah, he is big. He's much bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah, he's like a key forward, like Nick Riewoldt height.
I was surprised when West Coast delisted him. I suppose they wanted to bring in some kids. But
they just had too many good players. Yeah, that was their problem.
I know.
Far out, West Coast are bad. They're really bad. Yeah. And it's worth saying they've secured their wooden spoon.
Can I say something? Because I was mean to West Coast supporters on the Wednesday Live.
You're a bad
I know,
man.
They're not happy with
You're
me. Which is fair enough, because I don't think I actually came into it with the research. But Jasper Chelipa is one of the greats on the internet. He works for Triple M and he works for ESPN. And I think he's also doing a law degree because he's a very smart boy. But he made the point that West Coast have had 4 players have had their careers ended by concussion since 2018. Really? So Daniel Venables.
Yeah, really? Was he?
A couple of years ago. I think Luke Edwards had to finish up early.
Wow.
Then Jeremy McGovern and Brad Shepherd off the back of all Australian seasons.
So that's unprecedented.
Yeah, and it's awful. And I'm
But on the
sad for the Eagles. So I think when you look at it that way, it would make sense if you gave them some sort of assistance package.
But in the other side of it, then you're saying good stuff, and I agree with all that. And give them the package, I don't care. But also, because the draft is already so skewed anyway.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah.
I'm thinking about Melbourne's pick 5, which is going to Essendon, which will probably end up being pick 5. By the time that pick is called, I think it's like pick 12 or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like there's so many father sons and academy and recruits that it's completely skewed anyway.
Yeah, I think so. It probably looks like something else, which would be, I'd imagine, it would go over a couple of years where they're like, hey, we're going to give you 4 start of second round picks.
Yeah.
Over 3 years or 2 years, and you have to trade all of them.
I love the you must trade, which they haven't done since the Giants days.
Yep.
But because, yeah, man, like they should have done it with Reed, in my opinion. DEES did it in the early years with Roos, even though we could have got a Josh Kelly, we traded it up to get more high value.
Yeah.
And it does, even though Josh Kelly has had a better career than Christian Salem and Dom Tyson, who we both got, at that time, we needed that to get to level 2. You're at level 1. Harley Reid can't help you at level 1 if you're surrounded by not Harley Reids.
Well, I was looking through, and it was the same with North Melbourne with Jason Horne-Francis about the offers that came for the number 1 pick that year mostly from Victorian clubs.
Yeah, they had big...
for Harley, but there was, I think, an Adelaide or Port Adelaide offer initially for Horne-Francis when North picked him.
Yeah.
And you look at both situations in hindsight. I mean, I don't know how you can justify to your fans and turn around and say, look, there's this child that might be the best football player ever, and we can pick him, and we are choosing not to because we don't think that player will stay at our football club.
Yeah.
Like that message to send to your members, and also I think to send to the rest of the competition who do business with you in the years to come.
If Harley Reid ends up going to...
Yeah, he ends up at Essendon instead of West Coast and is drafted.
So are you just making decisions on PR then? So you have to make PR decisions?
Well, I think... I want to say in hindsight, West Coast should have traded the number 1 pick for one of the packages. But I'm also trying to say, look, that's not exactly how that conversation would have happened. And then that sends them down this other garden path of like, West Coast can't draft kids that aren't from Western Australia because they know that they will leave.
Yeah. It's funny when I think, compare it to the NBA, right, where there's GMs of each team and they make these weird cutthroat, just... really smart decisions. There's this guy, Ace Bailey, in the NBA draft who was like...
Utah Jazz, right?
Yeah, so he was like, do not draft me. He refused to go to trainings. He's like, do not pick me. And so Philly passed on him at 3. He was like a pick 2, potentially. Yep. But because he's like, I want to get to Brooklyn or I want to get to this place and I want to have the ball in my hand. And the GM of Utah, the place he would least want to go, was like, I'm taking you because if you are good, I can trade you. If you don't play, it's a risk I took. Like you're just and there's just more, and it does pay off. It does pay off.
Yeah, and to be fair, like the Harley Reid discussion, like it appears that he's about to sign this sort of trigger deal where he's going to get the 2-year contract and then has the ability for a 9-year deal, which would essentially keep him at West Coast. I mean, contracts don't mean as much as they once did, but there's a situation in which he's a West Coast lifer, and it's more realistic than perhaps it felt a few weeks ago.
He's going to be so rich either way.
He's
good on him.
So good.
Another game that happened on Saturday, just going through the Saturday games, was the Don Swans Pride game. Did you see the footage of this?
Mahoney had the best time ever.
Did she?
Yeah, there was a lot of good Insta stuff coming from her and Hester.
It looked like a nice weekend, and they all lined up and they ran through. It looked very like they had drag performers there and fireworks and rainbow flags everywhere. It looked to me like a really great vibe. So SCG games at the best of times are great vibes, but that was an even more of a nice vibe. So, and the game was closer than you'd think. Like, 12 points or something?
Yeah, Swans won it by 14 points. They both kicked poorly in front of goal. Got through, I think, Sydney.
Sydney went, we feel bad about winning by this much.
Yep.
And Essendon we feel bad that we got this close and didn't win. So everyone's sad. But a good day to go out. Looked rainy up there, I saw.
Yeah, swirly. And then there was the person who had to be called onto the SCG to fix the turf at one point. Did you see that?
Yeah, very cricket coded.
Very cricket coded.
Yeah.
Very SCG trust.
Yeah, but that's going all as planned too. You know, it's getting to this time of the year where there's games that matter and games that don't matter. Yep. But it was good that still had some purpose. It was good. Give me a sting.
Because we just love the footy.
So you may have seen earlier this year, Paddy, I interviewed one of Australia's greatest writers, Helen Garner, who is a great novelist of Australia, who wrote The Season, which is a footy book, and she came on this podcast and we had a very lovely conversation. She made me look a lot cooler by being in her presence. And now this has come out. So I don't believe she's done any other podcasts. It was a big thing to get her on. Like, I went into lockdown and like wrote some really thoughtful emails and pulled some strings to get her on. It was a big deal for me. Had her on. Don't think she's done any other podcasts since then. I see in Crikey today an article about Helen Garner. Dua Lipa asked Helen Garner for an interview. The famous author asked her grandsons who she was. So, do you know Dua Lipa, Paddy?
I'm aware of Dua Lipa.
Who's Dua Lipa?
Dua Lipa is a pop musician who would probably be in the top 5 or 6 most popular artists on the planet at the moment.
So what songs does Dua Lipa do?
Now that you've asked me what songs that Dua Lipa does, none come to my brain.
This one. You know this one? If you don't want to see me, give us somebody. That one. So, here's what we know as a fact. Dua Lipa listens to this podcast.
Yes.
Because I think she's English or something, yeah?
Yes, I think so. I think she was born somewhere else, though. Let me check that.
Dua Lipa clearly likes the Footy Pod, so I want to say formally, hey, Dua Lipa, thanks for listening. If you need a connection with Helen or whatever, if you want to make it you want me to hop onto that podcast as well to make it less formal, I'm down for that. But Paddy, you've been with the podcast for 6 months. You see how powerful it is now, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
The fact that Dua Lipa is listening to this podcast, and I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, I should say, if Dua Lipa's next podcast guest is who else has been on this year? My dad.
Michael Voss. Oh, yeah.
Michael Voss. If she's bench pressing with Michael Voss, or who else has been on this year?
I think
Scout
Boxall. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, just keep an eye out for it.
Underbelly LARP with Dua Lipa.
Yes, that's what I'm expecting to see. So I just want to put a call out to anyone listening. If you see Dua Lipa talking about Melbourne or Jai Cully
Or Harvey Langford
or Seven's Saturday Night Rights or the Vixens, then
Phillies.
You let me know. Give me a stick.
Look at the dogs on the mark! Look at them!
This is your AFLW update. It's a quick one this week because it's just to say that practice matches are happening now and they're happening around Australia, but they officially kicks off on August 14th, which is sooner rather than later. As we sit here, it's 10 days until the Collingwood-Carlton game. Marnie's done a great write-up. Go and read that. You guys talked about it on Thursday, but go and read that before the season starts. But all I know, and that's all I'm really across at the moment, is the DEES look fantastic. They're flying. But we'll talk about more as it scales up every week. But
spot on.
Give me that sting. Tearing through the other games. Good to talk about Giants. I could not be more upset with the team than the Giants. And I used the word, I think it's the most AFL word in the world, insipid. Insipid, man.
You have been listening to David King.
I looked and I said, my God, man. When I started watching this game, it felt to me like watching it, you're like in the first 15 minutes, and I'm not a football guy.
Yep.
I was like, these people don't care. Like they don't look like they care. They were just slow to the ball. Like it felt like they were, well, let's just lose this.
Yeah.
And they got pumped. Like they looked horrible.
As I was watching this game of footy, because I had it on in the background while I was doing some preparation for the weekend, and I looked up and I think Oscar Baker dominated the first 5 minutes for the Bulldogs, and I think you watch the Giants sort of look at each other and go, oh no.
Yeah.
This isn't good. And they just got eviscerated. It was...
Jesse Hogan is injured. When I was up at NG last week...
he's looked sore for a while.
He's just out there. I think I said it.
Yes. Yep.
I'm like, he's out there, but he's not leading. He's just a distraction for Cadden. He's taking a good defender. And that's what's happening. So I hope he's okay. Like, clearly they're just getting him through.
Yeah. it's a tough one because you would probably want to give him 1 or 2 weeks off, but they have to now win all their games because...
Fucking hell.
Oh, this is like they typically travel well. It felt so out of character for me because the Giants haven't felt like a team in a while that's just rolled over. Like they rolled over, like the most prominent one that comes to mind is the 2019 grand final, but everyone was hurt in that team at that point, and they'd also just played 3 very good finals, 2 of them that went to the last.
Jeremy Cameron was in that team. Isn't that funny?
He was, and Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper, which just feels weird now. But they get North this week, so at Canberra, and people will show up for that one. But then they have the Suns and then St Kilda last couple of weeks. So if they lose to the Suns, things get really tricky. And if they, St Kilda aren't exactly a team that like to roll over and are going reasonably well. And depending what happens with Wanganeen Miller and his contract by that point.
Yeah, they could be out. They could be.
Yep.
I hope they're not because I love watching them play. But that was really bad.
Did you hear what Damien Hardwick said a couple of weeks ago about, you sort of do have your games where you get blown away late and you're allowed one, I think you mentioned?
If I'm Kingsley, I'm showing that because
that's
they got pumped by Adelaide.
Yeah.
And then they went, that happens sometimes. And then next week they beat Brisbane.
Yeah.
So who's Giants got this week?
So this week they go to Canberra and they take on North Melbourne.
So, North are going to get... Well, they need that. They need a good luck chuck. They need a... Yeah. Well, that's good for them. And then the Dogs, on the other hand...
Yeah.
Could play finals. I thought they were going to be the 9th because they've had some weird shit the bag games.
Yes.
Shit the bag? Fumbled the bag, fumbled the bag, shit the bed.
Yeah. Fumbled the bed, shit the bag.
They've shit the bag. They've fumbled the bed. They've had some of those games, but they are getting it right now. What do you think of the Dogs?
I think the Dogs needed to win against a team that was inside the top 9 desperately for their own sake, so they felt a little bit better about themselves. Because the likelihood is that they're going to play Fremantle for probably their place in the top 8 at home in the last game of the season at Marvel Stadium, the coldest place in the universe.
Yeah, really cold. Really cold.
But yeah, this was the knock on them that they've just been flat track bullies and they only beat up on the bad teams. And then they said, no, we're going to beat Essendon by 93 points and then we're going to beat the Giants by 88 points. So
There's a bit of that though, right?
Yeah. Look,
There's a bit of flat track bully vibes because...
they have been throughout this year. Like, I haven't got the stat in front of me, but there's this great graphic which showed the top 9's record against itself and the Doggies were the massive outlier.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, can I bring up another team? Collingwood have lost to Brisbane, Geelong, Suns, Fremantle and the Giants. So they've only beaten Hawks and the Crows in the top, and they've also beaten Brisbane.
Brisbane at the Gabba.
Yeah, but in more recent, that's damning.
Damning indeed, Broden. I think the Dogs... Yeah, I'm quite happy for them because I think they're a really good footy team and I think they just kept on having dickhead moments.
I keep mentioning Kingy and I'm sorry to do it, but he's like, they're 2 years off. They're 2 years off.
You reckon?
He says they're 2 years off.
I don't know.
He thinks they're like a premiership in 2 years.
I think the other thing that's scary for me is that all year I've watched Aaron Norton just not know how to play with Sam Darcy, and then Sam Darcy got hurt, so they had even less time because he was probably used to playing in the 3-headed system with Ugle-Hagan. That obviously hasn't happened. Yeah. And in these last couple of weeks, like Norton, I think, is now, he might be third in the Coleman behind Georgiades. But he's kicked this, I think he's almost kicked 30-odd goals in 7 matches or something. So it's just all started to work for him at the right time of the year. Their only issue is, I look at someone like Cody Waitman who hasn't played all year and he would make them so much better up front. But
yeah, Cody Waitman. Yeah. Don't talk about Cody Waitman anymore. He's on the kids' call. Did you see that? No. He's doing some kids' call. No, I don't care for that. No, okay. I don't care for that at all. Cat's Port. What's the only thing I'm interested about in this game is what's Cameron on now? Jeremy Cameron kicked, I think, another 7 goals. Fucking really? Yep. 7? Yeah. The Brad Pitt, the Morgan Freeman, correct. The What's in the Box. I like that movie. I haven't seen it in a little while. It's okay. Really? It's okay. I've heard people say it was more than okay. It's got a good ending. Yes. But it's, it's good. So he kicked 6, sorry.
6
Okay.
goals, 1.
Well, that's not Brad
That's
Pitt
not
at
as
all.
impressive. Sorry.
That's a Haley Joel Osment.
Tangented us. He's on 75 goals. He has
25 to go, hey?
Yep. And he'll get, at this stage, at least 5 games, including finals, if Geelong finish top 4. If that counts.
So let's say he gets like 85 by the end of the year.
Well, if you looked at who they play,
Who they got?
that would be a good time to
I know you
actually
did
have
this
it in
on
front of me.
Wednesday with
I
the-
did do it. Come on.
But we've got 6. Did you predict he would get 6 today?
I think I said he'd get... I actually reckon I said he'd get 5. So
Great.
he's over
So he's
at
ahead of
7.
schedule.
Can you pad for me while I look at Geelong's run home?
Yeah, I can talk about The Sixth Sense, which I think is M. Night Shyamalan's best film. I think it's a proper, not just a horror or a thriller genre. I think it is a great film
Okay.
with some plot holes, but still great. Go on.
Geelong play Essendon on Friday night
no.
at Geelong.
So they're on 75. He's on 75
He's on
now.
75. He'll kick as many as he wants against Essendon. They then go to the SCG to play the Swans.
Oh, and they got no defenders.
And then they play Richmond.
Oh, he could get to like 95 by the time the regular season's over.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to kick 100 this year in a final.
Yep.
What if he kicks 100 in a grand final? Do they all run on at the MCG? I would. I'm going to run on the ground at the MCG if Jeremy Cameron kicks 100 goals in a grand final.
I don't think he'll be alone.
No. That would be one of the greatest moments in AFL history.
You know what I would love is that if we're in a situation in the grand final where the next goal is quite pivotal and one team has momentum and Jeremy Cameron's on 99 goals.
This could happen, man.
Yeah.
This could genuinely happen.
Yep.
Because it's one thing to have a
What was the Lightning game that Melbourne played in?
that was against. It happened a couple of times.
Where
It happened
there
in
was-
Brisbane and it also happened in West Coast.
I reckon there was a game, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was a lightning-affected game where everyone had to go off, similar to what would happen in a 100-goal scenario. And one team was leading by a lot.
Melt was Brisbane. We came back and almost beat Brisbane.
Melbourne nearly
Yeah.
beat them after the break.
So, yeah, and also it's one thing to have the SCG have everyone run on in modern times, but if there's 100,000 Collingwood Geelong at the MCG in a prelim or
I feel like the actual supporters of the teams will go, no, we're good, thanks. Can you keep going?
I'm going on.
But you're going on. All the corporates will go on.
I'm going on. No, that's fascinating. That's but bad luck, Port. Now,
Oh, did you see Oisin Mullen tagged Zach Butters and Zach Butters barely had a touch? That was pretty cool.
That is impressive. I've seen there was a lot of support around Oisin.
Oisin.
That's a great name. Is he Irish?
Yes, he is.
Fuck, good on him.
He used to have very long hair.
That's an interesting stat. And then the other game today, North, as a Melbourne fan and the trauma that I've lived through in the past week, like I was hoping that North ran home and chased down the Saints because that would have been funny. But Saints just held them off. North couldn't seal the deal at the end.
I was doing the VFL version of this game, so I didn't get to see too much of it. And I opened
What
my
is the-
phone, and Azai Wanganeen Miller had 36 disposals.
Classic. It's his locked-in number, 36, and no goals though. So a bit of a drop, lowered his colours a little bit. What is the VFL game between the Saints second team and the North second team like? What's the quality?
It was actually, so the funny part is that the game was played at Trevor Barker Beach Oval, and that's a ground that's really strongly affected typically by wind because you're right near the bay.
On the ocean, yeah.
And I thought, and I was here
Not
for
the ocean, the
I was there for the
inlet.
VFLW game at the start as well, and I thought this could be a long day because it's going to be so windy, and so wind affected, and the quality is going to be average. There were 35 goals kicked between Sandringham and North Melbourne. The scores were 129 to 106, and at halftime, North Melbourne had kicked 10 goals, won. And there was a boy called Geordie Payne.
Who's he play for?
Plays for North Melbourne.
Is he on their list?
He is on their list. He kicked 4 goals a fortnight ago now, I suppose, is the correct terminology, to help North Melbourne get close to Geelong, and they lost after the siren. And then he kicked 6 goals, and he hasn't debuted yet, and I think he will this week.
Hell yeah. Well, that's
He's
good.
really
That's
fun.
exciting.
You would like him a lot.
Why?
He's a little boy.
Why would I like
and he
him?
scraps.
I
He's
love
hard.
I love my small
And he's
forwards.
from Tasmania.
Isaiah Dudley, who's just put the Dockers ahead by just 2 goals with 10 minutes to go. As we talk about Dockers, Carlton, I think what we do is what we did last week, is I say
Oh, no.
the Freo are up by
The sequel's never as good as the
11
Okay.
points. If it gets closer,
right.
you will need to commentate.
I've done 3 games.
Only you're doing 4 if it gets closer.
Yes, Broden.
But first, we're going to talk about headlines. the headlines of the week. What do you think the headlines this week are going to be?
Well, I think, and I know this is a bit of a cop-out, but I think that you've already done it when you spoke about the Saturday night games. Because
Really?
I sort of think through the back end of the year, and I think that everyone will now be talking about that Adelaide and Collingwood game in a couple of weeks' time, and then people will start to realise, oh, Christ, it's on a Saturday night. But more importantly, round 24 is yet to be fixtured, right? So we actually don't know the ordering of the games, and that's so we can sort of manufacture it in such a way that suits the broadcasters and suits the closeness of the competition. My headline is that I reckon a broadcaster will apply significant pressure to the AFL to try and paywall one of the big games, probably Brisbane and Hawthorn at the Gabba, to put that behind a paywall on the Saturday night
Really?
as part of the Super Saturday, or the Western Bulldogs Fremantle game. I reckon one of those games will be behind a paywall. That's my nuts out conspiracy theory.
Yeah. You can feel DAZN taking over.
Oh yeah, there was a report a little while ago from Crikey that was talking about how the Zone is starting to look at the broadcast deal and sort of squint at it a bit and go, no, I'm with this one. And
I
that's been picked up
heard
mainstream now,
Eddie
so-
Maguire say that. I heard him say that they're going to try and get out of the AFL deal.
Yeah.
Which would just be fucking gigantic and but these big these companies overseas go, I don't give a fuck about Australia.
Yeah.
It would be huge.
I think his name is Blavatnik,
Who
the guy
owns
who
it.
owns DAZN, and he's never been interviewed.
Yeah, and from our podcast, we've got no problem with you.
If you'd like to come on,
No. Yeah, I don't want to really meet you. I don't want to talk to you. I just wish you the best. And we'll leave it there.
Sting.
Yeah, give me. My headline
Sorry.
in the back this week was called differently than it has been called in a long time. So they started calling in the back. And there's speculation that is what's the new bloke? Swan.
Yep,
Greg Swan. It's his thing.
I think that got mentioned on radio as well.
It's been mentioned a lot. In the DEES game, it was definitely there. In the Essendon Swans game, it was definitely there. And the games that happened today as we're watching them, it definitely happened there as well. In the back is back. It's back.
I think this is a continuing thread from the start of the year. If you remember all those players that kept on getting pushed into contests and having their faces broken.
Yes, I recall.
And I think especially with tackles at drive forward, yes?
No, go on.
No, you go.
I was just going to talk about Tom Stewart today. did a Maynard into Ollie Wines.
Yes.
And they changed the rule after Maynard.
Yeah, he'll get weeks, I reckon, for that.
But then there's been rules that go against that since they changed because Maynard got off and played in a grand final, but they went, but anyone who does it from now will be suspended. So that was convenient and lovely, and I think that's great. But then there's been times after that where they've gone back on that, and there's exemptions to that. But it looks like Ollie Wines is okay, but that is cut and copy what they said was going to be suspended. So there'll be a lot of talk about that. Kane Corns, the Will Day, but did you see this? He was cramping. They were like...
Oh, yep.
He kept talking about, you can't have people stopping game for cramping. And what it actually was a season-ending injury for Will Day. But he did jog off.
He did.
So there'll be talk about that. There'll be talk about if you can get off the ground, should this game be stopped?
Yeah. Do you have an opinion? I have an opinion.
Yeah, I want your opinion.
I think that unless the player is like quite literally in the way and the game can't proceed without them being in danger of being hit by a football, that you should always err on the side of keeping the game going, unless it's like glaringly obvious, like there's someone who's clearly KO'd and it's spotted, and there's like an immediate fear for the player's immediate welfare. Because I think the more that we stop the game, I think the more easy it becomes, I think, to exploit. And to be honest, like if I'm like Craig McRae is an actual wizard, right? So the way he coaches, he's coached his team in the last 2 minutes of games if it's close to tackle differently, like the cowboy tackle with the arm up.
Oh, so clever.
Like, you are absolutely faking a cramp.
Yes.
Like if you can stop the game and get a defensive system set up, you should.
Very good
absolutely
point.
do it.
I have my final headline. You will hear this week criticism about Collingwood done in the most polite and positive way you've ever heard. You will hear commentators, you'll hear AFL pundits saying things like, the way Collingwood have lost 3 of their last 4 games is beautiful. The way that they have fallen apart and the way that no one has ever come back and won a flag after winning this many games late in the season, the way they've done that is so clever. They're so clever about the way they've gone about this. You'll hear some of the most milquetoast apologist content on Collingwood from starting tonight on all the shows. You'll hear it. Keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
Wake up, everyone. Start calling it real. The other week, when people were saying it was so clever that Collingwood weren't tackling Fremantle, I couldn't mouth agape watching all... Are you serious? That was just wrong, yeah? They were like, the plan was to not tackle Fremantle so that it wasn't a ball up.
Yep.
So they just held the ball and the clock ran down and they lost.
I think the idea with it, because I go the other way a little bit, bro, because I thought that it was a tactic which, had it worked, would have got them a holding the ball free kick and an unimpeded kick inside 50.
But they didn't get a free. They didn't get a holding the ball.
But that's also... But that
Freo just went... That's
exactly right. So that should be the message, is that like, oh, Collingwood has done this, but Fremantle were like, oh, Christ, like I can't just put my hands... And you watch it happen in close games, and we're about to have it. We've got 6.5 minutes left. I can't see the score because the light's in the way.
Yeah, so Carlton are down by 4 points with 6 minutes left.
Oh, my God. Hello, Poppy Penny. Yes, but there was... What teams like to do, and this was again in that Joe Cordy article that I mentioned a little bit early on, is they try and hold the ball at arm's length and they just stop the football. And as soon as that happened, Collingwood basically stepped back and had basically a Fremantle player been tackled for more than a couple of seconds, that's holding the ball. Like, it's the easiest decision of all time. And Freo were good enough to go, I can see what you're doing. We now have to get active and move the ball ourselves.
Yeah.
And they won that game because they're a good football team.
Freo?
Yep.
Well, I disagree.
That'll age really well over the next 6 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Freo are going to edge them out here just quietly. I think they'll just do it. It can't happen twice in the last game of the week. But if it does, that'll make me a big ol' Malacca. And there's the Malacca music, even though neither of us are Greek. Tom is doing that from his home where he's sick, and we thank you, Tom, for doing it, and I hope you're okay, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode, Tom. But what are people saying? What are the Malacca feedbacks from people?
There's a lot of Malacca stuff, vis-a-vis Jack Ginnivan getting door-stopped at the airport. There's a funny message from my brother saying, I just want to feel something, and that was a joke.
Okay.
So that's fair enough.
Ollie?
Someone said, no Toby, no GWS.
No Toby, no GWS.
Yeah, the captain goes out and they...
It's a true point. Like, at least spiritually, like they really didn't show up.
Our friend Polly Porridge, big suva to the 20,000 people who showed up for the Pride game.
Hell, 20,000?
In the worst conditions ever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's your season's done. Yeah, makes sense. But no, nice turnout.
Lots of love for the VIXENS and the netball.
Oh, I got to give that another... That's a suva.
Yes.
We're doing this differently.
Oh, sorry, I've stopped.
Well,
this.
Dad's away. We play in a different way.
Sorry, Dad.
What do you say? So, the Super Netball, I'm blown away. And it was incredible for me, right? Because I thought I knew how to play netball. I do not. I had no idea what was going on at any point. At no point did I understand what was going on. Apart from there's a point where there's like the super minute where it's like this, like a little bit further back, they're worth 2 points for 1 minute a quarter or something like that.
Okay.
And it was intense at the end.
It would have been hectic in a close game.
And there was a lot of Vic bias in the Super Netball chat.
Oh,
there was a lot of why did West Coast Fever were the best team all year?
Oh, but it was played in Melbourne, the grand final.
Yes, but it was preordained that it would be in Melbourne.
Okay.
So if it was against Sydney, it would still have been at Rod Laver. But a sold out Rod Jake Lever was just so good.
Yeah.
I had the best time.
Do you want some Malakas or Suvlakas? Because I've completely fucked the ordering.
Give me some Malakas.
First F-bomb from me, actually. So Malakas, Richmond for only kicking 2 goals, which I have to agree with.
Yes.
I know that it's a young team, but 2 goals in a game of footy, no good.
Great.
A Malaka for Fox Footy post-game, Brisbane versus Collingwood. No talk of Brisbane's win, just Pies game chat, which works into your headline.
Yeah, already happening.
Ruckman running into umpires. Did you see that?
Yeah, there's talk that it's going to be we're moving to a new city. Have you heard of this?
There's talk, is there?
Of
Ball
Up City.
Oh, okay.
We're going to stop bouncing the ball.
Thank you, Matthew
because isn't the talk that if the umpire just ran back straight and threw it up, then the ruckman would know where to go and they wouldn't run into umpires?
I think the message here is that a ruckman being uncoordinated is the least surprising thing that can come out of a weekend of football.
Yeah.
Bouncing the ball. Have you tried to bounce a football? like the umpires do before? You should try
Yes,
and have a go.
I have. And you can't get them high. It's a hard thing to do.
It's incredibly hard, and it's really taxing on your back. So when I used to be...
And you've got a bad back.
When I was a little boy, I used to umpire games of football in the Riddle District Football League. And
You're an umpire?
Yeah, I was. And then when I moved down the city, I did a year at the Western Region Footy League, and then I
Fucking hell.
destroyed my back. But I tried to learn how to bounce, because at that point I was like, look, if I want to try and take umpiring semi-seriously, I've got
You've
to
got to be
learn
able
this
to
skill.
bounce.
And it is one of the hardest, most taxing physical traits that you can do when you've already run 12, 14, 16 kilometres at high levels.
So would you get rid of it?
I would go the other way, and I would say we're going to
Only
bounce the
it
ball
instead of umpiring.
everywhere, and we're never going to recall it.
Wow.
Because I think this is my big bold theory. Australian football is a game of grey, played with an oval ball on an oval field with 36 high-speed missiles plus umpires running around the football.
This is a hot take, Paddy.
In random directions, and it's one of the most beautiful games in the world for that reason, and there is so much grey and randomness in our game, and I think that we should embrace it rather than try and remove it.
Perfected. Wow.
So bounce the ball everywhere.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and if it means that one team can take the ball in the last 2 minutes and it's a dodgy bounce and they take it from the middle and kick a goal, that's the rub. That's the game.
That is cool. I like that. And some suvas, I guess.
Yep, some suvas. I'm going to give a suva to Tom for being a sick boy and hoping he's okay and working so very,
all the best,
very hard.
Tom.
Top 4 Sunnies is the suva. Not anymore, though. I think they've just been knocked out of the top 4. Morris, 6 goals. Lots of love for Logan Morris.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Henry Smith and Darcy Fort from the Lions.
Yeah.
Are you aware of Henry Smith?
No.
He's a big, tall boy.
Oh, yeah. Did he get 3 touches and 2 goals or something?
He started the game like a house on fire and was really good. Big suva to the Adelaide Oval Hill and the Vibe, which I believe you would just call like ferals from a city that you would like to invade.
Yeah. Can I just say on the ladder, Suns are down to 6th because Geelong are 4th, Freo are 5th.
Suva for Max Holmes, who was very good against Port Adelaide. Lots of love for the VIXENS, as I mentioned.
Hell yeah. That's some good Malacca Suvas. I like that. What a wonderful episode, Paddy. I think you've done a very, very, very good job. I think you've done top. I think people are going to love what you've done. And I think you should be very proud of your work. As we sit here, Patrick Voss has just put Fremantle up 16 points with 3 minutes left. I think you don't have to call this week.
I think so.
I think Freo have done it. They had a scare from Carlton, and I walk away from this game going, congratulations, Carlton, for putting on a fair game.
Do we want to quickly talk about the game and give Flagmantle their flowers?
No, I don't think they get flowers for this game.
Okay.
I think you give Carlton flowers.
Yeah.
My takeaway. Who's been good for Freo?
Well, as I look at it, I think the thing that I'm most interested in, so as I was driving in, Hayden Young was subbed out of the game. I was listening to Tim Gossage call, and Hayden Young has done a groin and he's out, and that's really sad. So hopefully it's not too serious. Neil Erasmus came in, and the next centre bounce, apparently, from what Tim Gossage said, Sean Darcy was rucking and Luke Jackson was roving.
Which they do. They do that from time to time.
And I love that so much.
And the hit-outs, yeah.
And he's doing it right now. So he's playing on Patrick Cripps. And that wasn't exactly a very flattering centre stoppage. Actually, Carlton might be a chance here because they've just taken a mark inside 50.
No, we're stopping the podcast.
Okay.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Have a wonderful week, everyone. If Carlton win from here, it's my fault. But have a wonderful week. We'll see you Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you listen. Bounce that.